Okay. Welcome to Stockholm Hardware number 9. Is it 8 or 9 now? 8. So welcome to number 8 on wireless. We have 3 main speakers and a few lightning talks. We've got an extra amount of people today because we're organizing this event as a result between Stockholm Hardware and also Internet of Things Stockholm, which is what Anders is organizing. Or Anders is also organizing. Cool. Stockholm Hardware is about building a strong community around hardware. We're for beginners and experienced people. We try to create events and content for both engineers and creatives, startups and enterprises, and it's a voluntary effort. It's these 6 of us who are running Stockholm Hardware this season. So Johan and Åsa, right? And Anders is running it also. We have Carl is away to get his baby, right? And I got my baby like a month and a half ago. We got camera volunteer set up, so thanks again for that. You've also helped us a lot in creating the episodes for all the talks, which are on YouTube. Some of them are on Facebook, but all of them are on YouTube. So when we're done today, we'll take the recordings, cut them into the individual talks, and put them on YouTube. Here's what it looks like. We're done with mingle and beverages and light food. We'll do a few community announcements. If you have an announcement you'd like to make, you like a minute on stage, you can just come up, stand over here, and you can share your event or your announcement with people who care. We'll then do 2 main talks. I think we're doing 2 times 20 minutes, including Q&A. Then we break, and when we come back, we do 1 more main talk and some lightning talks. You can maybe hardly see it, but it's great. We have Thomas Tromholt from Frankly Consulting. We've got Anders Melbrat from Itch. And Marcus Linderoth from ThinkSquare for the main talks. There is also an opportunity for you. This does happen from time to time that somebody comes up with something you'd like to talk about for 3 to 5 minutes. If so, we can add you to the lightning talk, so just come up. You can do a demo, or you can do a talk, or whatever you want. We already talked about the fact that we're doing live streaming, or at least we're doing video capture. We're also streaming on YouTube, if you should be hindered in getting here some other day. Logistics, there was at least some food and some drinks downstairs. I think we have more drinks, so at least that'll be filled up again. So we have the main, so the stage is up here, and we are then streaming the event downstairs. So there's video and audio down there. So if it gets too crowded up here, that's a place where you can relax a little bit more. The bathrooms are right out here. There's 2 of them, and I don't think there's any on the ground floor. No, there's none on the ground floor that you can access. We can actually take those reserved things away, if you don't mind. So if you want to grab some of the seats up here, you're more than welcome to. Cool. So we've already decided on the next date. So it's going to be in December on the 7th. And we're going to have less content, so fewer talks. In fact, I don't think there's going to be any talks. There's going to be Glück, and then we'll try to find some ways for us to get to know each other. So hope that you can make it then. So it's going to be a little shorter, I think, probably maybe just like an hour or 2 in December. Go to Meetup to sign up. We have 2 sponsors. I'm very happy with their help to set up this event. Things is the space that you're in. It's a co-working space for hardware and IoT startups. And Internet Funding is supporting lots of initiatives around the promotion or the furtherment of internet, and we are helping doing that through our video captures and video sharing. Is Guy up here? Okay, Guy's probably downstairs. Guy is an intern at Things, and he's been super helpful in setting us up. So all the chairs that you're sitting at, and the drinks and the food downstairs. So if you see Guy, tell him thank you. A few notes on volunteering. So everybody who is part of organizing this event is doing it as a for free volunteering activity. So if you can help out, that would be great. There's actually 2 people, Haza and Daniel, who are helping out at the moment to do a podcast. So that'll probably start to come out in December. If any of you have some time to spare and you'd like to help us do some more on social media, or maybe make the website look pretty, then you'd be more than welcome. So come reach out to me or any of the other people in the group. That was it for kind of the intro part. We have some community announcements. Like I said, if you have one, feel free to come up. The first one is Johan from People. Welcome, Johan.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be pretty fast. So I'm from People. We're a design and innovation consultancy. And we're looking for electro engineers and programmers to build really cool IoT stuff for clients. So if you're one of those, or if you know anyone, just johan@peoplepeople.se. Please feel free to keep in contact. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Johan.
Oops. Hello, my name is Åsa, and I have a couple of announcements here. Oh, it's me. So the first one is for makers. Anyone from Stockholm Makerspace here, for example? Wow, great. So Claes Olsson has a product innovation challenge if you want to apply with your project. I think deadline is November 30. And anyone into drones or want to learn more about drones? Great. So there is a new incubator starting in Barcelona with connections to Hong Kong and China. And you can apply during the next week, reimaginedrone.com. So there is a business network for anyone who's interested in doing business with China. And they have a VR-themed event next Tuesday at 6 p.m. at H2 Health Hub. And if you're into hardware, that might be interesting because the special guest is Bay McLaughlin from Brink. It's a hardware accelerator based in Hong Kong, but with operations in Shenzhen and the US too. Yes, that was it. So if you have any questions related to Brink or the Reimagine Drone project or Chinapreneurs, just reach out to me.
Cool, I got a few canned ones. I don't think there's anyone here to speak to them, but this week is something called Global Entrepreneurship Week in Sweden. So there's a bunch of events that are being organized under that banner. Stockholm Hardware is also listed there, but if you're interested in that ecosystem or entrepreneurship in general, go check it out. There's lots of events still this week. Yeah, 24th of November. So there's another event here at Things related to tonight's theme of wireless. Can you see? You can kind of see. You might have. It's a little hard maybe to see the URL. I'll include it in the newsletter when we send it out. If you're not in the newsletter, you can sign up on Meetup. So if you go to meetup.com and find Stockholm Hardware, we'll send it out there. Maybe we'll send it out on IoT Stockholm also. Yeah. Oh yeah, this was a last-minute edition. How many are know about Internetdagarna that's happening next week? Show of hands. Maybe a quarter or so. So the organizers reached out and asked if there was some people from Stockholm Hardware that was interested in demoing their either personal projects or business projects. So it's either startups or creatives, makers, artists with regards to hardware. So if anyone is interested in that, come see me. I think I'll include a link in the mail out also, so you can get some more info. But essentially, they're offering some free tables. So if you want to kind of show and share what you've done to all the people that are attending Internetdagene, you can do that for free. Cool. There's another event coming up related to Internet of Things. This is the day before, so November 23rd. Martin Willers is going to be there, one of the 3 guests, and Martin is one of the guys for People People, which Johan is also from People People. So they've done a bunch of iconic designs in the startup space for IoT, like the narrative camera and the flick button. Am I right? Okay. Cool. This is a paid event, though. I already gave a shout out. These are the 2 people helping out with the podcast. There's nowhere to subscribe to it at the moment, but I hope you're interested. And when they come out in December, we'll obviously let you know. I'll skip to this. We started these events in January this year. So as we start the next season in January, it's natural for us to think about what type of meetups you would like us to create. So one of the things we're discussing a lot about what content to put in and what format to do it in. One of the 2 ideas that I've been thinking about is maybe to do a recurring segment on what's happening with development boards. So as new boards come out, then do a demo of those. If no new interesting boards are come out, then just show some of the old iconic classic ones. If you are interested in that, and you either can help get us the board so that we can evaluate them, or you're somebody who wants to do the development board walkthrough, then reach out to me. Similarly, I think it would be incredibly fun if we could do teardowns, like live teardowns. So we take a product and tear it apart and have everybody look at it. That would be very fun. I think there's a good chance we could get some good hardware to tear apart, but we'd need somebody who can do it in front of everybody. So if you're that somebody, or you know somebody who is, then reach out and maybe we'll do that for next season. Okay. Anders, would you like to come up and say a few words? Sure. Cool. So please welcome Anders Melbrat.
Thank you, Sune. Great to be here. So, I think I'll just briefly introduce the IoT Stockholm meetup group, just to give some context. So, and it'll also be interesting to know, so how many in here are from only saw the invite through the Stockholm hardware information? Hands up. All right. And who came here because of the IoT Stockholm event? All right, so about half and half, perhaps I'd say. So IoT Stockholm has been running now for maybe 3.5 years or something like that, and sort of less so lately. There's been this is the 25th meetup with IoT Stockholm. And there was definitely a lot more happening in the earlier days of IoT Stockholm. So therefore, I jumped at this opportunity to co-organize with Sune and the others to get some much needed energy into organizing of an event. And the topic of wireless comes from me being interested in and tinkering a bit with the Things Network platform, which is something that you'll hear more about tonight. And it started as an idea in Amsterdam and a Kickstarter project, but as mentioned, you'll hear more about it soon. Yes, I think that's it for now. I'll introduce myself a little bit more in detail later. And I think we'll kick this off with Thomas from Frankly.
we only have this microphone. We don't have any headsets or anything.
I'll try it out while you go.
Okay.
It's can be a little feedback noisy. I'll give it a shot.
All right. Oh, here it was. My name is Thomas. I just moved to Stockholm. I'm from Copenhagen, and I met the first Danish guy I met in Stockholm with this gentleman over here. And he didn't even know that I was Danish until today, which is kind of fun. So today I will. I was told to talk about how to develop and sell IoT products. So I work in a company called HAL, frankly. We are product developers. We develop products that are for mass markets, selling like 1 million units. We develop products that are super expensive, where you sell 50 units maybe. And I thought I would talk a lot about technology and values and tables and stuff. But then I was told that I should talk to creatives as well. And then I saw that I should talk to engineers and creatives. So you cannot be an engineer and be creative at the same time, maybe. I don't know. So I'll try to address. So who is in here is an engineer and creative at the same time? We have 10 to 12. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I have 20 minutes, right?
Yes, and we have a timer.
Can you start the timer? Because otherwise I'll just keep on talking. 15. Let's get started.
Let's do it. And then you have up to 5 minutes of Q&A.
All right.
Do
Okay.
you want to spend any time trying out this mic, or you want to just go with it? Check. 1, 2.
I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it. Nice. Look at this.
See,
'Cause I want to,
the problem is the feedback. So, all right, let's try
That's
it out.
right.
If the feedback is killing everybody, then you can switch over. Just maybe stay behind the
Does it work now? Nice. Okay. So I brought many things. I'm very hands-on. I like to play around with the technology. And during the talk, I have a lot of chipsets up here because I want to relate things. If you're creative and not an engineer, you can look at the chipsets. I'll try to pick them up on the presentation. But I cannot be close to them right now, I see. So who are we? Just to describe what the company is. We are 60 people. We're based in Malmö and Stockholm. We do product development in general. So we're not IoT experts, but so we don't only work on LoRa, for example. We work on all the technologies that are needed for actually producing products and putting them on the market. We're 10 years old. We have 3 studios. We have one in Malmö. We have one in Stockholm. And we have one in a wonderful place called Shenzhen in China. And this is because we have our own supply chain, because we do productions for startups. And if you go to a factory in China, say I want to produce 1,000 units, they would say screw you. Maybe they will still accept you, but then they get a bigger order from somebody else, and they would screw you. In any case. And this is what happens to many companies. This is why we try to be a bit strategic with producing things. So we work a lot with the startups, and the whole process is basically, as illustrated in this slide, there is a guy in a bathtub who gets a very good idea. This is this light bulb. So what we do is that we take the idea from idea to sales box. And sales box means a box and a guy popping out of it in this icon. So this is basically what we do. And it involves a lot of different things. And I'll try to run through many of these things. We do a lot of different things. Felix, who's sitting in the audience, is working on design, for example. I like electronics and software. We also do supply chain. We do things that are needed for product development, really. We have done a lot of IoT products. This one was just launched, Pucks. It was a Kickstarter. But they also went on Indiegogo because they know the rules. They can just they get $1.5 million dollars on Kickstarter, and then they go to Indiegogo and they get the same. Smart guys. Yeah, we have done other connected speakers, connected headphones. So we do products really in a broad sense. More products. How do I get this sidebar out of the way? Here we are. This is. Does anybody know this product? Does anybody own it? No. It's a surfboard. So two economy students told us that they wanted to make a surfboard. That was the first surfboard that had a jet engine and was battery driven, and they had no idea how to do it. and it would cost 200,000 Swedish to buy it. And we thought, what a great idea, let's do it. But they're selling a lot of these boards, so it's like, there's so many people who have so much money just for a funny toy. And it's so fun to ride, so it was a cool project. It has Bluetooth connection as well. You can update software and everything. So, IoT. So for the people who are not engineers but are creative, let's try to have a quick overview. I'm the first speaker. There'll be speakers speaking about LoRa later. So I'll try to give a quick overview about IoT, because we have clients coming with an idea about a product, and we have to choose technology. And LoRa is super interesting, for example, but maybe it's not there yet for a product that will be sold in Shell or company, for example. So what can you choose between, for example? So this picture is a beautiful picture probably from southern Manhattan, where a guy put all his Apple devices on a table, and this is actually an Android as far as I can see. His nice new headphones, and he even has a mouse and everything. It's a beautiful picture. So what I see a mess of antennas. There are so many antennas, as already you can see. So what are the antennas in this picture? It's Wi-Fi. I see Wi-Fi in here, Bluetooth in this one. This is Bluetooth connected. What else? It has NFC to this one. So I can probably scan with my phone. I can scan for this one. I have a GPS antenna in this one as well. I have cellular in this one. It's probably 4G. These guys are corded, so they don't have any wireless connection. In any case, there may be 10 antennas in this picture. It's probably a mess to get working properly if you don't have a proper development budget, and these guys do, so it's good. But one kind of networks are called local area networks. These are the networks that are local. And this is Wi-Fi, for example, and it's Bluetooth. What is the range of Wi-Fi? It's probably like 10 meters, maybe 100 meters. Something like that. What is the range of Bluetooth? 10 meters again. So these are, like when we develop products, we choose these technologies sometimes because they're standards. What is Bluetooth? Bluetooth low energy is a revolution in terms of wireless, because it was built for low power as opposed to Wi-Fi, as opposed to many other technologies. Bluetooth is a local area network. You have 10 meters range, you have low capacity in terms of bandwidth. It doesn't matter. You can do so many things. And this is why, like this wristband, for example, it has an active connection to my phone for 2 years on a coin cell, like these small, thin batteries. 2 years. It's ridiculous. Nobody could do that 10 years ago, but now, you could, but it was not a standard. Now this can be bought for, like the chipset cost $2 maybe.
How often do they speak?
The connection interval is probably 1 to 2 seconds in this one.
Every 2 seconds?
Yeah. So it would sleep, it would wake up, it would exchange package, and it would sleep again. So it's sleeping more or less all the time, but it's awake 10 milliseconds per 2 seconds, say. So this is a super cool technology. It's pretty cheap. What's coming, this is interesting, what's coming in January, this is what is interesting for us looking at future technologies. It's not the best solution in the world, still, but it will probably become a standard, and they say you get 4 times the range, so it's 40 meters maybe. So suddenly you can start measuring things that are not within line of sight, maybe in neighboring rooms. So that's pretty cool. Wi-Fi, we all know Wi-Fi. Why is it good? Super high bandwidth. Why is it bad? Like for battery-driven, how many people have a battery-driven Wi-Fi device at home? What are they, for example? Yeah. So the thing is that there are not so many. Power consumption is a big problem because it drains the battery in no time. So this one would run for 2 years. With an active Wi-Fi connection, it would run for maybe an hour, maybe? Half an hour, maybe? So it's a completely different range of power consumption. Chipsets are super expensive, provisioning. You need to onboard the device, you need to type in the ID, the password, and then you have to go to the app, and it's really annoying. Data plan, you need that to get the data. It's not a problem with Wi-Fi. So we still use Wi-Fi in some cases. So I'm saying that you cannot build battery-driven Wi-Fi devices, but you can, obviously. To prove me wrong, these guys put this product on Kickstarter. It's called Noki. Did anybody back it? Nice. Yeah? I hope it works.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, they didn't do it. It's a new campaign, yeah. So they got so much money. They have a device which looks like it's like a small unit you put on a table, accelerometer. If you knock the table, it wakes up the device on the accelerometer, it opens a Wi-Fi connection, it sends data, and it sleeps again. and they see 2 years of battery time. So you can make battery-driven products on Wi-Fi, definitely. So these were the local area networks, 10-meter range maybe. So if a customer goes to me and wants to measure the soil humidity in a field, how do you do that if you don't have an antenna? So what are the technologies? It relates to things like these. Maybe it's cellular networks. So this is a phone. This is what's good about my phone. It works without me being close to Wi-Fi. The thing about telephones is that they're not really optimized for low power from the beginning. The technology is not made for low power. Bluetooth is made for low power, Bluetooth low energy. But like 2G, 3G, 4G is not made for low power. So it's interesting to see what will happen with 5G. So it's not made for low power. Drawback, very high power consumption. You can drain this in, say, 20 minutes with and this we know from our phones as well. It just drained in no time. You need a data plan, super expensive chipset. So if you're working on 3G, for example, 2G will be gone in a few years maybe. 3G costs $20 for buying the chipset in 10K volumes, for example. It's super expensive. And this is why we want something else. This is not the solution to everything. If you want to make a super cheap IoT product and just throw in your field, 3G, it fits in an iPhone that's super expensive, but no. So what I want ideally, and this is what people will talk about today, is low power networks. It has to be made bottom up with low power in mind, and it has to be a wide area. So I want a device that, I have a kid at home and she can scream, like this guy maybe. I want a device that screams when it's awake and then just sleeps. And then talking about connection intervals, you could have, I don't know, it doesn't matter really the connection interval. You can just scream. Say you wake up once per hour and just scream whatever you want and then you fall asleep again. This is what I want. This is my idea of an IoT, and this is not my idea. This is what makes sense really for IoT platforms. And what we will hear about today, so this is basically what we want. We want low cost. Wi-Fi and 3G is super expensive, and we want range, and we want penetration. We want to be able to go through concrete, for example. If you have a meter in question, yeah. So if I have my 3G, if I call somebody, I have an open 3G connection. I draw up to 2 amps peak currents, but I would on the average draw maybe say 0.3 amps. Whereas if I have an open connection with this one, it's meant to sleep all the time, so I can be on the average on 15 microamps. So that's a factor of 10,000 more or less, the difference. So it's completely different. This one is optimized for connectivity and I can download things. And this one is optimized for sending just very brief signals. And this is why the network the infrastructure is made for this. So it's such a big difference. We will hear a lot about LoRa today. So these are different takes on, these are the cowboys in the low power wireless. You can say these are the guys running on unlicensed frequencies. And they're very fast because they don't have to live up to many of the same regulations as the established companies. Sigfox is French. So they said that we have a certain capacity, how to handle that, how much can you send. So they say, okay, you can only send this. You can send 140 packages per day, and that's it. Most people don't need more. And they have more than 10 years of battery life, and that means that more than 10 years is more or less eternal life. You never change the battery because after 10 years you forgot that you had your sensor in the soil. It doesn't matter anymore. And you have a new phone and it doesn't have the same, I don't know. So 10 years to me this means eternal life. And this also goes for LoRa. I don't need 25, like where am I in 25 years? I have no idea. What's interesting as well is range. You have 10 kilometers and they also state 40 kilometers for Sigfox. So that means that you can cover a city with like 5 gateways maybe. You're covered. So it's super interesting instead of rolling out 4G and it's so expensive. So these guys are competing right now. Sigfox has been established in Finland now. It's not in Sweden. LoRa is, as far as I know, LoRa is maybe coming to Stockholm soon. It's coming sometime. So the more conventional players like u-blox, a very big chip manufacturer, they work in a licensed spectrum. And this means that they can tap into the existing technologies. So they can tap into 4G. So they put their So instead of putting up a new gateway, they can use the 4G signals, and this means that they have certain advantages. They say they have 10 years of battery life. I'm expecting that this will be super expensive, but let's see. They came out with this chipset last month, maybe. So there's a lot of battle going on in this field, you can say. I will quickly go through how to develop a product, and it will take. I have 2 minutes. Let's see if I can make it. It starts with a guy being creative on a whiteboard. It starts with a designer like Felix, who is creative with a pen. I wish I could draw. I'm horrible, but some guys are really good. Then we do some teardowns. I love teardowns as well. Why not? Life is short. Do some teardowns. Then we do some programming. It's pretty. You drink a beer, you drink coffee, you do some programming. You have cables, power supplies. What's different for IoT products is that you do a lot of, you do some PCBs, and then you do a lot of measurements as well, because it's a lot of radio physics. Radio frequency is, who thinks radio physics is fun? Nobody. Maybe a few people, yeah. You need to buy a lot of expensive instruments. If you're a startup, you don't want to spend 300,000 Swedish on not necessarily this one, which is a picture from the 60s, but of equivalent instruments. This is why it's not as easy as just making an app for your iPhone or whatever. You go to China, you want to produce your product, you do price negotiations, you do different builds, you hang out with a cat, you look at your tools. I'll just take 2 more minutes and cut off the few questions, maybe. We go there. So many companies don't want to go to China to inspect mass production lines, for example. We do that for them. We wear these nice pajamas. We look at the electronics. We look at all the components. First out of tool, we look at the parts. How were they? How were the pogo pins? We look at the whole economy. What is the price of electronics? What is the price of assembly, shipping, and what is the price of development? And this thing down here, certification. This is the thing that's super annoying for many people, because people think that, I have this crazy bit about this product. It has Bluetooth, it has Wi-Fi, it has 3G, and it ends up having a certification cost of, say, 1 million Swedish kronor. Nobody can afford that in the beginning as a startup, obviously. You really have to have a good reason for having all these wireless technologies in that case. So certification. Describing certification in not 3 days, but in 60 seconds. It's based on this very sophisticated word, interoperability. You don't want to say I have a product, I don't want it to jam the whole frequency, the whole spectrum, and I don't want everybody else to jam it. It has to work. If I certify, I get to use their logo and their branding. So I have a Bluetooth product. People know how to pair a Bluetooth product. Somebody developed that whole platform. I get a membership of a very elegant club, which is the Bluetooth club or the Wi-Fi club. Then I do some product testing to get it certified, and then I can list my product on their homepage after paying them a lot of money, and only after that I'm allowed to sell the product. If I don't do the certification, they will tell me to stop selling the product. Why is it so hard? There are many different standards. I can see 7 standards right here, and these are on some of the main markets. If I want to sell in this country, I would have no idea what to live up to, but you would have to find out. So when Kickstarter projects say that, like, I have Wi-Fi, I have Bluetooth, and I have the whole world as my market, they're never going to certify it, and that's just the way it is, because it will be impossible for them with small economies. This is my example. I have a paper swan. This one, it's not connected. So I only certify it for EMC and safety. It shouldn't burn up and burn down my house. And aviation, it's a special kind of certification for flying things. My paper swan flies. If I have Bluetooth in it, and this is in the super quick version, if I don't have Bluetooth, it will cost me $5,000 to $10,000. If I have Bluetooth, I will add another $25,000, no, 15 plus 4 for the membership. Then you are an adopter of the Bluetooth standard. It will take me 3 to 6 weeks. Count that in before you will start delivering your units to your Kickstarter backers, for example. And then suddenly you want your paper swan to be on Wi-Fi. It only gets worse. The membership costs $15,000, and it will cost you $30,000. And these are Irish numbers, but it could be $30,000 to get the certification. It will take you a lot of time as well. So this is the reason why you shouldn't put all the wireless technologies you can fit in your platform, because chipset may be cheap, but it ends up being very expensive. And where do you get it done? Europe, US, we use China as well. So this is basically the process for making products in a very, very short time. We're currently hiring. We are in Stockholm with 30 people, and we need more electronics, software, mechanical engineers. I have more information about the jobs on the table, down here on the ground. This is Swedish word for thank you. Tack. That's it.
Let's do some questions. And,
Yeah. I will, yeah. Any questions?
Are there any pre-approved like Bluetooth components that you can use, like pre-certified?
Yeah. Yeah. So good question, yeah. So these are like, this is how you normally develop. Like you can buy the separate chipset like this, and it would be, you would have to match your antennas, and it would take more development time, and it would cost more to certify. If you go for a module, which could be something like, I don't have one right here. It could look like something like this. A module like this, these are the certification costs I've put here. They're pre-certified. If you want to go for discrete chipsets, it's even more expensive. So we normally say, if you produce more than 5,000 to 10,000 units, you can think about making a discrete solution, do your own antenna matching, and take the full responsibility. But otherwise, you would go for a module like this one. It's more expensive to buy, but the certification is the risk of you doing something wrong, so you have to recertify it and go through different loops. We would normally use modules, but it depends on production volume.
You still have to certify the module.
You still have to certify, yeah. Even Wi-Fi, $30,000, yeah.
Okay, any more questions? Was there someone at the back? No? Okay, thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up is Marcus of ThinkSquare. We're keeping it familial and on a first name basis here.
Sounds good to me. Can I have that one? Perfect. So I've seen on TV, on YouTube, that people often, drop the mail. And I always wanted to do that, and I'm going to resist the urge to do that all the time here. So I'm Marcus, I'm from ThinkSquare, and to begin with, great to see you guys, and Sune, congratulations. A kid is a life-changing event. I thought my first car was a life-changing event, but that is completely different level. So I get to push the...
Yep.
Okay.
You'll have to, and it's even better if you're up here, because then we get a good view of you on the side, so you're not in front of the screen.
This is good.
Very good.
Perfect. All right, so I'm from ThinkSquare. We're a Stockholm-based startup, bootstrapped. And what we do is that we help our customers build connected products. We offer a complete system, which is, all the parts from the software running on the devices to server backend in the cloud to apps and APIs that you can get your data, etc. So through this talk, we're going to go through a few levels. We're going to look at the very deepest parts of wireless. I think wireless is just a very, very interesting topic, and it's just fascinating how it works deep down. But to begin with, so let's skip these marketing slides here. So what you see is basically us everywhere there, hopefully. There's a nice effect there. I think I added this marquee tag. So to begin with what are connected products really, and do we really need them? And well, we don't strictly need connected products, but it certainly makes things easier and more fun and so on. And to just look at perhaps where we're going, because there's a lot of really crappy, to be honest, we won't perhaps all seen this Internet of Shit Twitter handle, which posts all these ridiculous products like this. Well, I don't want to go into that, but to look at something that has undergone very interesting development is our motors. So this is an ad from Sears catalog something in the 1918. That's about 100 years ago. And they offered you to buy a home motor for about $9. That's about $160 today. So to this motor you would buy accessories like a fan and so on, and you would connect it to this, and this would be the motor that you had in your home, the one motor to end all problems. And so if you move forward 100 years, we have a typical Swedish car in a typical Swedish home. This may or may not be my living room. So if you look at the car, how many motors does this car have? It's probably around 50 to 100. And how many motors do you think there are in a typical Swedish home? This is actually a pretty poor picture, but this is from the Royal Palace. So that doesn't really look like there are many motors there. But in my kitchen, I counted at least 15. So motors are everywhere. And we don't think about them. They're ubiquitous, they are small, they're cheap, they're inexpensive. And when motors were new, there were probably a lot of these really crappy applications which people mocked. Oh, you have that kind of motor thing. But some of them just faded away and so on, and what we have today are the crucial ones, the ones that make our life better, and so on and so on. So a connected product, well, it has to be smart, of course, have some computing capabilities. It needs to be connected. It connects to something. It could be your app or your phone or the internet and so on, so that the product itself becomes larger than its just physical appearance, just a physical thing. So it might look like this, familiar examples, the Nest Smart Thermostat and the Tado Smart Thermostat. Well, that's not the thermostat. Really, that's a sensor, I think it is. Or it could look like this. Large-scale million devices doing smart street lighting or infrastructure, monitoring and so on. Keeping track of how buildings settle into the ground when they're newly built and so on and so on. Or they could look like this field. Thomas, you started talking a little bit about this smart agriculture. And that's something we see a lot of interest in from Singapore. Around that area, they're putting a lot of effort into smart agriculture, a smart city, and so on. So the title of the talk is Essential Ingredients for Connected Products. So I want to just quickly go over 4 of them that I feel are very, very crucial to a connected product, and then move into a little bit more on the low stuff with wireless. So I found that picture very fitting. The salt and pepper, essential to every food, every dish. Okay, so you definitely need encryption and security, and this is just a picture of a bank vault that had to represent this. When you have connected products all over the place, there's the potential of exposing a lot of privacy-sensitive data, and you don't want just the strange uncle that no one wants to sit beside at family reunions. You don't want him to get access to your health information from your whatever product it is. You don't want somebody to start playing around with the street lights, start doing disco. No matter what intentions they have, they might be very good, they might be very bad, but you don't really want them to do that. So you need encryption, you need security. You of course need some kind of user management because there will be a lot of people using it. Of course you need user management capabilities for the end users, and you need way to set up for administrators and so on. And so you need to be able to have fine-grained control. You need to be able to revoke access rights and so on to the data. And the next slide is going to be interesting because I think there's a GIF animation. Oh, yes! Okay, so when you have a connected product, you also need to make sure that it's very, very easy to commission it, to install it. You don't want the installation process to depend on, you know, some very expensive or complicated tool that someone always forgets in the other car, or just, you know, someone knows how to handle. But you want everybody to be able to commission the product out in the field. So what we see is semi-guys changing a light bulb. That's probably for security, you know, traffic security and so on. And a device here that's actually, I have one of these here today. So it's standing here and keeping track of temperature and so on, connected to a gateway I have over there. So I'm gonna, when all the talks are over, I'm gonna have a look at the temperature data, and we can see which ones were, you know, a little bit hotter, steamier. Firmware updates. Oh, that one works as well. Perfect. So when you build a connected product, the time from when you finish the firmware and the software and the hardware and so on to actually having the product in your customer hands might be months or perhaps a year. You know more about this than I do. But in any way, you definitely want to be able to update the firmware, the software running on the device, after it's out there in your customer hands. And why do you want to do this? Well, one example is that you want to patch vulnerabilities or problems or bugs. Another one is that you want to add features. For instance, like the Tesla car, they pushed software updates so that you can get new features. Every Tesla car is manufactured with the hardware necessary to be fully autonomous, but it's not enabled in software. But, you know, a software update will fix that. So let's talk a little bit about wireless. So, you know, quite easy to get the impression that wireless is just wires, but or just like with wires, but with less wires. But it's unfortunately very far from the truth. So one of the problems you might come up with is called a hidden terminal problem, and I'm just going to go through a few of these things that you might encounter. The hidden terminal problem is that you have two devices that want to transmit to a device in the middle. These circles represent like an ideal view on how far they can transmit. So both of the devices will try to reach this one, but the result is that they will not hear each other, so will just interfere with each other, and the result is that the third one doesn't get anything, and it's just a waste of RF bandwidth and power. A second problem is that this is not the reality. This is a very, very ideal view on the transmission range, or what it would look like around a device. The truth is more like something more like this. Oh, it doesn't really like red. So this one is supposed to be red. So what we see here is rather, instead of the circle, this is more like what the device, you know, experiences. You will have patches and very irregular pattern of how successful a transmission might be, the probability of the successful transmission. And this is always changing, and it's changing rapidly. This might be valid for a few milliseconds, for like a handful of milliseconds, or it might be valid for a minute or something like that. But, you know, around lunch hour, when people start using the microwaves or so on, you know, end of Friday, people start streaming those cat videos and so on, that will kill your 2.4 gigahertz. And speaking of 2.4 gigahertz, well, there are a few frequency bands that are free for and unlicensed bands across the world. Rather, 2.4 is the only one that's free unlicensed worldwide. So it's very attractive for a product creator to build a product that uses 2.4 gigahertz. There are many problems with this as well. This symbolizes the channels in a 6-low-pan network, with the larger ones symbolizing the 3 most popular Wi-Fi channels, 1, 6, 11. So we can see that the Wi-Fi and 6-low-pan has a lot of, they're using the same frequencies, except for a few channels that are lucky ones here, especially channel 26. But what will happen is that Wi-Fi, and this is pretty interesting, Wi-Fi, before it transmits anything, it does something called like listen before talk. What it basically does is it starts listening and see if there's anything happening. So it looks at the energy in there. And if there is none, or if it's below a threshold, it itself starts transmitting. So what will happen is that due to 6-low-pan and so on being much slower than Wi-Fi, your 6-low-pan and Zigbee and so on can basically, if you have a lot of it, can kill your Wi-Fi rather than the opposite. And while we're on the topic of Wi-Fi, so I was at Electronica last week, and so this is not, very, very representative picture, but there were a lot, I think there were like 50 or 60 access points, Wi-Fi access points available at the spot where I was. So there's a lot of congestion in the 2.4 gigahertz band. And the other one is scanning for Bluetooth beacons, and there were just so many beacons and just so much stuff going on in the 2.4 gigahertz band. So what you can do is go over to sub-gigahertz, start using 868 or 902, etc. Those are the 2 most common bands. We also have 433 and so on. What also comes with this is longer range, better capabilities of going through like buildings and so on. 2.4 gigahertz is very much affected by metal. It reflects better on metal, so you will have a lot more interference and so on. It's also attenuated by water and flesh. So yeah, if you have a lot of people, this is gonna mean worse communication. So another thing is that you probably want to use, you would probably need low power. And so this is an example of a device waking up a little bit here and there.
1 minute mark.
Awesome. So this is like a baseline of, round of perhaps 1 or 10 microamps or something like that. It wakes up, a small bump here in power consumption. The CPU wakes up, there's probably some timer or something. And so here you can see why radio communication and using the radio is such a heavy thing for a battery operated device. While a CPU doing something, waking up and doing something, sending something over radio is really, really heavy in comparison. So it wakes up and it does a lot of encryption of the packets it's going to send. It listens a little bit before talking. This is a larger packet fragmented into 4 and so on. So it's a lot of stuff. So how do we at ThinkSquare try to cope with this? Oh, smack. Can I stop this?
Yeah, just press the start button, but try to wrap it up in a minute so you have time to take some questions.
I will. So we run a 100 node test bed over at the office. We test everything that we update these guys. It takes about 4 hours to wirelessly update all of them. Try out new features and so on. Let's see if this GIF animation works. Oh, perfect. So we simulate larger networks and so on, and try out schemas for conserving power. For instance, this symbolizes the state of the radio and so on. Turned on, turned off, receiving, listening, and so on. So one takeaway is that, sorry, do you want to? So I love this Twitter account as well. So one takeaway is that things are happening very, very fast, and it might be very much faster than we think it will. Okay, so feel free to contact me, ask me any questions, talk about anything. Yes, thank you. Do you have a question?
Please repeat the question.
Yes, I will repeat the question.
So, in the nodes you showed before, what kind of node do you use? Is it 868 or 44?
So we have oh, sorry. My memory is short. That's what comes with having a child, small child. So what kind of nodes do we use? And you asked about 868 megahertz, or do you use what nodes at 868? What nodes do we use for the 100 node testbed? We use CC2538. It's a Texas Instruments 2.4 gigahertz SOC. And all these devices, they're available in modules, quite inexpensive, 10 euros or something, cheaper in volume. So with a module which is pre-certified, our software is 99.9% done. You just write a small user application on top of this, and you use our RESTful API to get the data out of the server, and that's it. Yes? Have we done any tests with LoRaWAN? No, we haven't. That was a quick answer.
Great, thanks a lot, Marcus.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks so much. So now we will take a shortest break. How long is the break, Suna?
We normally do 15 minutes, but it's normally like 15-20. So I think just before 8.
Yep. So yeah, go downstairs and see what's left, and find something to drink, and see you here in a bit.
Oh yeah, we have. I forgot that we have. Do you want to step over and then I can have your?
By the way, I've had a blog page up for 4 months on this group, so it mentions.
You're good.
Håkan Berg, Ullevålet. Hej. Vill du ha några slides? En minut slides.
This is the first slide. I don't know how this happened.
Toppen,
Ja, det kom lite hastigt på. Så.
Ja. Det är många som är ute och reser.
Ja.
Betyder det att den är klar?
Ja, den lyser hela tiden. Jag vet inte vem som har designat
Det är en signal.
Ja, men den gjorde ju stoppan. Den börjar ju inte lysa efter att du pratar med den. Börjar titta på den. Sen var det ju stoppan då du matade ut. Den gör den inte. Okej, men det tar den när jag passar. Avslöja. Wi-Fi lägst power.
Vad sa du?
Wi-Fi lägst power.
Lägst power?
Ja, per bit.
Give me a sec. Let me just quickly mess around with it.
Gärna utmana de andra. Det blir kul om du får lite så här.
Det är det. Men det beror på när du ska inte skicka mycket så ska du ha mycket data. Så många är så här. Power. Ni ska skicka från dem. Skicka sms i ja, just det. Någon måste skicka sms.
Yeah, we were just
Sorry, I forgot all about it. When
basically nominate.
So I just take this part here.
Yeah, or if
How much do you want?
yeah, we can do that. Or if you just could,
What? The
I don't
whole
know.
page?
If you press nominate.
Your pad is like this most sensitive.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Here you go, all the categories. If people are curious on what categories there are, I think that could be.
Okay, done. Where did my screenshot go, Anders?
Will you do that?
No, where did the
or
screenshot go?
You want me to?
Sorry, the what?
The screenshot that I just took?
Probably.
Desktop.
Do you want to say something about it, or should I do it?
You do.
Okay.
Thank you, Anders.
Okay, do you have any preference for like Hangout or Skype or anything, or should I just do Hangout since we did before? I just need to probably.
I've only ever done it with Skype. So if you feel confident it'll work, if like, is it in browser or?
Yeah. It's just that I probably need to reduce. I'll just do this.
I guess it'll work. I mean, the way that it works is you'll need to pick up the sound from like he will listen to you from here, right? And you will listen to him through the speaker,
Oh, well, that's fine.
which normally works fine on Skype.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then I need to be on.
Can you call him now, Justin?
I don't know. I thought it said about the notification. Okay.
Sorry, you're gonna test it before we go back on.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Is he the first one after the break?
I guess I'm the first one.
Oh yeah, that's right. But so after you.
And then we can do next.
Is this one of the new blocks that I saw? Looks like that. Yeah, I saw it, yeah. Cool antenna. Interesting. Yeah. Ceramic. Really heavy compared to 2.4 gig. I think those are in the 3G band kind of if you want to connect to the at least in use lists. Mixed bag of things.
Sound interesting. And that's STHLMHW, our contract.
Oh, actually, is that your music? Yep. I don't wanna. I hate to sound like a drag, but if it's copyrighted music, you gotta kill it. Because we use YouTube streaming.
Oh, it's different. Yep.
Yeah, they do like automatic copyright stuff.
Oh, that's right.
Unfortunately, which is, by the way, why there's never any nice music. Which is kind of maybe I should just stop the stream or something, but I haven't gotten enough money.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah. How much is it? Yeah, it says Alex, yeah,
This is just a transceiver. Yeah. The firmware you will upload on Arduino. But of course, you can use a Raspberry Pi and this. Maybe it's not so low power.
Yeah, exactly. No, you need to. So that's why I wondered because if you want to make sound sensors directly to that, you need really good power. You need a receiver or some wake up or some functionality. Can you hear me? So you got some digital I. And then the serial.
Now I am. Yeah, there are.
Which do you think works best?
Between these and maybe this is more tiny.
Det här är inte mina leksaker. Mina leksaker är där i.
Jag har köpt flera så olika som jag hinner gå igenom då. So this is just for test.
Can you hear me?
Can make your own board.
Yeah.
So
And do you wanna
is it the something
mute yourself or?
I think so. I'm not sure. But we can
Can't hear anything? Let me see.
Okay, can you hear me now?
However, something is like
No. Let me see if the sound system is muted. Otherwise, we are with a similar issue as before. Just let me check.
Okay,
so it's the sample is
yeah. You tried out 3 different manufacturers.
No, it's these and these are the different. So
okay.
Here we take off the.
Okay. So this is okay. So that's the same module. Okay.
No, look at the old.
You always think you use 868.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Try now. Can you say something? Yeah, I can hear you.
What's this? This is the gateway. And it's the gateway.
Yeah, so it works. I just need to figure out where it's currently not working.
So you can see.
I need a minute for the guy to get back. So how do you want to present it? Do you want to like remote control the presentation yourself, or how do you do it?
Because I know my program is Linux. So inside we have a big open grid and EMST LoRa one.
Let's see, the audio is not great. You
bigger bond.
can you speak
And you
down?
can do the same gateway maybe with Raspberry Pi and
Exactly.
LoRa.
It's not the same transceiver in both hands.
Sorry, it's a bit of a noisy room and I left my headphones somewhere. Okay, I can hear when you're, if you can be closer to the microphone maybe or something, and I'll try and crank it up a bit here.
Can communicate directly.
Sorry? Yeah, I can see your screen. I just need to find the right button, I think, to do that.
Excuse me, isn't it different chipsets for the gateway of the nodes? The 1301?
Yeah, here we go.
Yes, but there are two.
So I press something, right?
Yes. For the base station or the gateway.
Yeah, I think I can hear you okay now. So hold on. How do I just like maximize the browser window to get rid of the
power.
Yeah, because the 1310 can handle about 50 or 100 streams. Yes, yeah. Yeah, the 1310. Well, what I said, but I forgot some zeros. I mean, zero is nothing.
But yeah, everything seems to be working as far as I can tell. So I just need to like.
Otherwise, I can say that I'm because in July that
Let me see. I just need to find there's like some presentation mode
We
thing,
set
right?
up one in 7th of July in Stockholm. 7th of July in Stockholm.
But it's a month with a lot of
We will show you in the presentation.
Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. I think it's working now. And yeah, so
We run L'Oreal.
yeah, looks fine.
But we are going
So I'm
away
going to
from
present,
L'Oreal.
and then it's your turn to present after me.
Talk to you.
How does that sound? Yep, cool. So do you want to just stay on
Our building in Gothenburg.
on mute or something, or?
So we are partnering with Talk.
Sorry, you will.
I'll just stay in your account.
Yes, I have a card.
I'll just you can just let me know whenever you want me to go and get started.
Okay, cool. All right. Thanks. Sune, can we just do the? Because I couldn't get the sound to work properly. Yeah. So just 1 second, and we'll try the sound of the picture as well.
I'm from Gothenburg. We are so fun.
Yeah. Can we just try to like bring it up, because I'm gonna do full screen. And then also the audio, I couldn't quite get to.
Oh yeah? Och de är mer öppna? Ja, ja. Probably. Okej. Jag är ledsen, jag kom och bara avbröt er här. Jag pratade så jag förstod det som att det var lite skillnad.
Can you speak a little bit again?
Hi, can you hear me now?
It seems like very low audio. Is that very
Yeah,
low?
it is quite low. Yeah, but I've cranked it.
I will
Turn it up or no?
Hello?
It's on max.
I will not kill you.
It's on max
Is it
on
back
the
now?
computer, but it's coming through a little bit low.
Vad jobbar du? Where do you work?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit again?
You are interested
Okay, can you hear me now?
in LoRa or the IoT.
Can you just say something for a little while so we can hear more what the...
Test 1, 2, 3.
All right, I'll just say testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, perfect.
Screen?
Yes.
You're up there.
Sounds good.
Ah, okay. I'm seeing your desktop or something, or like your screen. That's why. But it's, I think it's, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Great. I think that works. If you can hear me, I think then everything should be good.
Yep. It seems fine.
What is he sending? Why is that a picture of you?
Yeah, well, it's, can you switch to a presentation?
I've been living there for 50 years. But I'm here now.
I lived there 5 years when I studied at STHLMHW.
Yeah, me too.
I went away.
I don't know how to hide that photo, you know?
Then I moved to Gothenburg with my family when I was only 1 year old.
How do what?
In Gothenburg for 50 years.
Is that where to see him at the same time or no?
Now I'm back on track
See you
again.
at the same time. Ah, okay.
Maybe not.
Can you do a picture-in-picture thing where your face is also showing in the corner, or is it just didn't work?
One sec. I'll just try doing that. Just give me 1 minute.
I haven't tried that actually before. If it works, that's awesome.
Wonderful time in Gothenburg. I really love that city. But I'm over now. I'm finished. I like Stockholm much better. But I don't regret that I was.
I think both might be a bit difficult to do actually, because Google Hangouts only lets you do one thing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, that's fine then. Just you go be the DJ and like swap.
I think just
Right.
Could at least kind
Perfect.
of do like a on-screen intro, like just for half a minute or something.
Yeah.
So
they were playing.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. So I was.
Probably not. When you do,
No.
can you introduce yourself? Can you,
Mhm.
when you introduce yourself, can you keep yourself on the screen for a little while? For half a minute or so,
Yep,
so that
yep,
I can see
yep.
who's talking?
Perfect.
and
Got
then
it.
we'll time it. Just does he know that we're timing?
Yeah, yeah.
Royal.
Cool. So let's
Yep.
put you on hold for a bit, and then we'll get back.
Cool.
20 minutes or so.
Mhm. Cool.
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 Bye for now.
Cool. Cool. All right. Bye bye.
Right, thanks.
Awesome. Good stuff.
I'm just gonna.
I think that stuff is done. Maybe we just wait until Anders is back, but I think these are all from the other guy who's here. Let's just move it over here for right now. You can just move you want to move your stuff over here, right?
So I can just take.
Is that you? We'll start in 5 minutes.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing? Interesting to see. Not that I make any heads and tails out of it, but anyway, always good to see. It was good. It took practically everything. The Frank, the guy, and this guy.
That was a very nice broad intro. Yeah, that worked out really well.
They're much more generic.
They're much more engineering.
Engineering.
Hey Anders, is it cool if we start in 2 minutes? Sorry? Is it okay if we start in 2 minutes? Sure?
Always. Like signal connectivity. Yeah, like signal molecule engineering.
Yeah, I think so.
Part of the product design.
Okay. We'll start in 2 minutes. So if you're downstairs and you want to sit upstairs, make your way up, or vice versa. If you're up, you want to go down.
Yes. Ska vi se, du får kolla att det blir som du vill ha det. Den här. Du kan ju få båda i och för sig om du vill. En efter den andra. Nej,
Oh, I'm going to do intros. Wait a minute. You're not doing intros now. You're not introing yourself.
sorry?
You're not introing yourself.
I told him, yeah. But, yeah, the compulsory.
Oh, no. In there. No. I'm just saying.
No, that's fine. But what?
You ready?
Is it, yeah, I just need to figure out what's showing.
You can use the mute mic if you feel like you want. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
But let's start with Stina, right?
Yeah, that's great. Okay, great. Welcome back. Now after the break, we've got first a bonus community announcement from Stina, and then Anders is going to do his main talk, and then we have the lightning talks. So it's these short, rapid-fire, 5-minute talks. But first, Stina, you want to say something?
Thank you. Thank you, Sune. And hi, everyone. I don't know if you are familiar with the Swedish Mobile Awards, but I just wanted to announce that we are actually open for nominations. Last year, I think there was no less than 11 IoT products on stage, actually. So I think it's definitely worth a shot to nominate your service here. And what you do is basically go to mobilgalan.se, you press nominate, and then you will see a lot of categories there and some questions. And just feel free to ask me if you have questions. I will be here all evening too. Okay.
Thank you, Stina.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, this is an extra special honor. So Anders have been organizing, as you mentioned, the IoT Stockholm events for quite a while. It must be 3-4 years. because you're up to number 25. And for this season of Stockholm Hardware, Anders is also helping to organize our Stockholm Hardware events. But this was a unique opportunity for us to finally convince Anders to do a talk himself. So please welcome Anders Melbrat to the stage.
Thank you, Suna. It's in the other... yeah. Thank you. I should know where to stand to be in the right position. Yes. So, the last time I presented something on stage at an IoT Stockholm event was on the very first one at the Ziggy Creative Colony offices some 3.5 years ago or so. So, it's fun to be back. And just briefly a little bit about myself. There's also kids, several of them, which is part of the reason there are less IoT Stockholm events happening, or at least as regularly. I now work at a consultancy called Itch, where we do digital innovation, and that's lots of different things. And I'd like to talk to you today about a project that is sometimes I call it the first truly useful IoT solution that I've built, and that is possibly true. And I'm going to start with giving you a little bit of background to it, and then sort of go through the technical parts of it. So basically, I live on this island called STHLMHW. It's not so far from here. It's like on the other side of the forest, that way. And there are, so up here is Lidingö, here is Norra Djurgården, which is up here, and up here is Stocksund. And there are no cars on this island. All the streets and they're really gravel paths. So we run around there sort of cycling or lugging our bike trailers and things around. And so being in sort of the closest bit of archipelago that Stockholm has, sort of offers these interesting challenges. So one is logistics and lugging things around, and we have this ferry that stops here and goes to Ropsten 6 times a day or so. And so we have our own boats that we take to all of us. There's maybe 450 people or so living on this island, and we take either a rowboat perhaps across if you work at the university or at KTH, or a rowboat that way, or you take a motorboat to Ropsten. And for those of us that whenever you need to go this way, you can't really see it here because I made a poor screenshot, but this is a very short distance. It's barely 100 meters, so it's a very easy way to row across to the mainland. And a lot of us have rowboats just sort of stationed there waiting for us to go across. And what happened about a year and a half ago or so is that there was an initiative to instead of everyone having their own boat, we went together and got some boats together as a boat pool, and thus was Tranbåtspoolen born, with a couple of rowboats and a couple of pedal boats. Pedal boats turned out to not be perhaps an amazingly great idea, because it's more for sort of leisurely transporting yourself around rather than efficient transport to get across to the other side, which is usually what you want. But the rowboats are working really well. The challenge, though, as you might have already figured out, is that how do you know that there's actually a boat there waiting for you once you get to the shore? So let's say, if we back up a bit, if you live here and you have to still walk to there only to find out that there's no boat there, that would not be so great, because it takes maybe 10, 15 minutes. And then you might instead want to go down and use your own boat that is parked there, which is a motorboat, which then means, it's more complicated. You have to start the engine, do all that stuff. So we have used a Facebook group to coordinate. I don't have a picture now, but to sort of say, okay, I left 3 rowboats and 2 pedal boats on the island shore as a sort of message to other people that come after, so that they would know whether there's a chance that there's a boat there or not, sort of. Not very reliable, and so this led to people not using it as much as they otherwise would. So an idea was born. How can we make this into, like like every good project starts, how can we make this into an IoT project? And and I actually, so the first iteration was last summer, where I made an attempt. I have not prepared my props. I made an attempt to put beacons, BLE, Bluetooth beacons in every boat, and then use people's mobile phones to, in the background, update the locations of the boats. This sounded like a very clever solution and a clever hack to piggyback on people's mobile phones by just sort of the beacons. When you're by the boats, the beacons would trigger your mobile phone to sort of recognize how many. Exactly. I can just keep going, right? Yeah, so that was the idea, that people wouldn't even have to take their mobile phone out of their pockets to start the Facebook app and update the status of the boats, but the beacons would wake up the phone and automatically update the website or a service in the cloud somewhere. And I never got this to work. I sort of have the time span of the season is from like April to October, and I never managed to get it to work in time. So then, of course, as is now, when the boats are up on the shore, there's some time to think about how to do it for next year. And that's what I did last winter, and as I mentioned in the beginning, I was curious about the Things network and how that could possibly be applied. And just to give you a little teaser of what it ended up looking like is this. Just a website that you can make you can put it as a bookmark on your home screen of your mobile phone, and you get the most important thing, a number of boats that are available on, in this case, it's not your side of the shore, but it's one side of the shore, which should enable you to sort of calculate, out of 8 boats, there's 2 on the mainland. And this was done through actually, again, using the beacons, and these are fine beacons from courtesy of Mio here, who will speak in a bit, and the Ziggy Creative Colony. That's, let me see, yeah, so here is before they were mounted in the boats, and somewhere here is the relay station. So we put up like a relay station on the mainland that would every once in a while wake up and courtesy of the Bluetooth chip scan for beacons, count the number of beacons that have a signal strength over a certain threshold, and then wake up the LoRa chip to send the number of nearby boats to a small sort of hacked together gateway while I'm waiting for my the Things network gateway. That would then in turn update the server that showed the number that you saw before. So this hardware is actually built by, I have lots of people to thank for input and help along the way. And this is Greger in the back, who helped with with the building of the hardware. So it's a battery-powered thing, and then these things are cleverly wired together. Yeah, have you seen this technique, virning? Yes, I had never seen it before. Exactly. So I had never seen it before. I thought there was only like jumper wires and soldering and stuff that you could do. So, yes, we will have a special session on the topic of virning with this gentleman here and Greger in the after the talks.
Maybe a lightning talk.
Yeah, yeah,
2-minute lightning talk.
yeah, that would be good. And then, of course, came the idea of how to install it. I'm just going to show you some pictures from how we figured out the correct installation. And of course, it didn't involve 7 people in yellow vests, but it did involve ladders and tape. So this is our specially designated bit of shore where the boats are located, and yeah, it took some fiddling to put this relay station in the right, which is a LoRaWAN node in the right position, and it ended up actually sort of by chance being in this in this sandbox, which gave a perfect perfect trade-off between sort of coverage and not picking up the signals from the other shore on the other side of the water. And then, of course, followed, take your pictures, and then we can, and then, of course, what followed is coverage testing, using the mobile technology wagon on the paths of the island to figure out whether I could get good signal between my desk at home and the node. Yes, and I just like to talk a little bit about like the ideas for improvement. The idea for next year is that it's supposed to be this one required taking down and charging every sort of 5 to 7 days, which was fun in the beginning, but got a bit tedious towards the end. And hopefully we can figure out the way to make it completely solar powered, which should be possible. Yes, I think that's about it, and I think we will just go to questions or comments. Yes.
I was just thinking, you were talking about power requirements, and the boats that have pedals in are not very popular. Maybe you could turn that into generation.
Repeat the question.
Yes. So it was more of a suggestion that the pedal boats that are, by the way, already less popular could be made perhaps even more less popular by installing some kind of generator in them to make them even heavier to propel. It is sustainable. That is correct. Yes. Any other suggestions or comments?
What is the chipset you're using? The module?
Yeah. So. Yeah, so what's the chipset and the module that's used? So let me see. This is a microchip. What the model number is, I cannot remember. Can I hear something from the audience? Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, RN2483, and the Bluetooth chip is NRF. What is it, 518.22, something like that. And then it's an Arduino Pro Mini and a small charging circuit. Yes? Well, actually, we have, as the boats are up on land. We actually, in the wintertime, they put out a bridge from this distance, like a floating walkway to the mainland. So it is because the ferry stops running, and we sort of get a bit cut off from the rest of the world. Otherwise, so we're given a bridge. So it's sort of a break and time to think about what next season's projects are going to be. Joachim? So is this could there be gamification features built into this to see who will propel the boats the quickest across, or use the boats the most times, or something like that, like a high scoreboard? Well, there's at the moment no identification of who is taking the boat, so but that could be an improvement, I guess, that could be made. That it is definitely interesting to look at, because before you could only sort of see, oh, sometimes there are a lot of boats on this side, and other times there's a lot of boats on the other side, and you could sort of make your inferences. But it's interesting to now have the data to see exactly how the boats are used, and then you can sort of go back and set up rules. So if you are, which can be easy or slightly complicated, like if you're taking the last boat across and the time is between 4 and 5, you should probably bring over an extra one, because there will be people coming in one or the other directions quite soon. So that's also a way to improve the usefulness of the pool as a whole, if we can manage to do something like that. Let's do one or two more and then we'll wrap up, I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, you said you had a makeshift gateway. Is it point-to-point, or what are you using to set up the LoRa gateway?
Yes, I'm using a makeshift TTN. Yes, that I said I am using a makeshift TTN gateway, and what is it? And so it's a single channel gateway based on the SX1378 chip, maybe something like that. The other one, basically, the is it Semtech perhaps or something like? No, I can't remember. Sorry.
I think it's called the low row one.
Yes, I think this was a joke, and Stuart said that this application or this technology is called the low row one, but also actually I call it BoatSense, but I already found a better name, and it would be that it is rowboats, but it could be rowboats, and then we could just connect the autonomous thing to it as well. Yeah, should we just end on that? Is there anything better coming? Nope.
Good job. Good job, Anders. So our next, you're going to stay up here, right? Maybe you want to like fiddle around with the. Oh, okay, yeah. This is great. This is exactly the right slide. I was actually just going to talk over it while you were fumbling around with that. But maybe yes. Why don't you find that? So I'll just overall mention the lightning talks are coming up, and we're generally timing them to 5 minutes max. We don't do questions for each talk, because then they'll take too long, and you're going to be here all night, and it's already late. And the first talk is going to be with Rish. Maybe Anders, you can talk a bit more about it. But he is on a Google Hangout link with us. Yes. Or he will be. Now or later. Okay. No, this is very good.
Oh, perfect.
Cool.
Can you hear me?
Great. Yes, we can.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic.
So yes, just a brief introduction. This is Rish of, he's the global community manager of the Things Network, to tell us a little bit about it.
All right. Well, I can't see everyone, but nice to meet you all. My name is Rish, and I'm the global community manager of the Things Network. I've been staying in New Zealand for the last 3 years. Currently, I'm in Mumbai for a while, and in the next 1 month, I'll be in Amsterdam. So that's a little bit about myself. Now, Andres told me that I only have 5 minutes, so I'll keep it short, and I'll tell you a little bit about the Things Network and what sort of things are we doing right now, and what's in store for the next few months. So I'm guessing most of you guys are aware about IoT and LoRa. I mean, that's been the theme of the evening, and most of you guys are part of this ecosystem. So I think this entire figure should be a lot more familiar with that. When we started the Things Network, we kind of looked at the different technologies that were there, and we realized that all these things that we talk about, Wi-Fi, 3G, Bluetooth, they're all there to kind of connect humans to the internet, but there wasn't really a technology which was connecting the things to the internet. And that is where Vinke, our co-founder, he came across LoRa technology, and he was kind of really surprised with this whole technology because it kind of had a perfect use for it. And we all know the features as well. A perfect long range for 10 kilometers. It can connect up to 10,000 devices. It's low power, low cost, and it seems perfect for things to connect to the internet because of all these features. And this is where we all started off with the idea that, okay, let's connect the entire city of Amsterdam and see what we can do from there. This was back in September 2015 when we decided that the entire city of Amsterdam can be covered with just 6 LoRaWAN gateways. And we decided to get started with this. We presented to a similar IoT meetup group in Amsterdam. And with the help of yes, 6 curling gateways, yes, the entire city was covered. And it was a wonderful thing to do because, yes, first of all, this is just not one area, it's an entire city that we're talking about. And the focus from the very first day was on use cases, on what sort of applications that people can build on the network. And it was great to see. I mean, the response was fantastic. We can talk more about it. I think Anders probably would know a little bit more about it. But here, what we also realized was that the pricing of these equipments was a little bit too much. And because of that, we also ran a Kickstarter campaign wherein people could buy these LoRaWAN gateways for a lot lesser price. Like here, you can see a gateway here, which is a €200 gateway. Anyone can buy it and place it at the top of the roof or in the building. There's a development board, which is just an Arduino with a LoRaWAN module. And this is just a simple keychain node, which can have a certain temperature, humidity, light, and all these sensors. And we ran a Kickstarter campaign with this, and we were surprised to see we were able to raise €300,000 for that. And there's going to be around 2,500 of these products that people pledge for it. So coming next month in December, we're going to be shipping out these products. And this is going to be a new chapter for us as well, as will increase tremendously. And over the last 1 year or so of our existence, what we've seen is that different people around the world want to start with this whole Things Network, and people, they just want to see what they can do with it. And the entire inspiration comes from what we did in Amsterdam. So as you would have seen from the Kickstarter campaign, even after that, right now there are about 300 cities around the world that are doing these initiatives in their own local area. There's about 6,000 of these members. We're almost present in about 70 odd countries. So it's certainly getting a lot more serious. And our main focus, apart from all of this, is to make sure that people are able to use this network to some good use. These are the applications that kind of provides the entire value here in this. I was paying a little bit of attention when Anders was talking about, and he mentioned about a boat water example. Now, here in Amsterdam, also, we kind of focused on this primarily use case, wherein if your boat has some holes or, there's a water filled in your boat, you can put a small sensor in your boat, and the boat kind of talks to the internet and tells you that, hey, there's water filled in your boat, you should, clean it up. So it's a very simple use case and provides a good amount of value. And we saw there are other examples as well, like there's a bike tracking thing. In Netherlands, people use a lot of bikes and they get stolen as well. So it's a perfect way. You put in a sensor in your bike and you can track it. Similarly, people have been pretty crazy with and innovative with it. So people have a hedgehog tracking, and similarly, people have been using it in agriculture as well, wherein some people tried connecting a node to a cow, and they wanted to measure if where exactly is the cow going, and they can even geofence it. So there's plenty of applications, use cases that they can develop from here. Some of the most valuable one I can talk about is the flood network in Oxford, wherein you can crowdsource the entire information and see what are the flood levels and kind of predict when is floods going to come. And the other one which comes to my mind is here Safecast, which is basically measuring radioactivity in Fukushima region in Japan. So this can be used over LoRa, and people can still be safe, and they don't have to enter into high radiation zone. So we talked about all these use cases, and I'm sure some of you guys would be wondering as to how you can start with this. Hello? Yeah, this is just the wrap-up part of it. So for all of you who are wondering now, how do I get started with this? There are 4 ways. First is simply connect a gateway. If you have a gateway at your end, you can connect these gateways. Our code is open source. So if you are looking to contribute to the code, you can go to our website and we'll be able to direct you there. Building communities, yes, I mean, we love collaborating with different people. As you have seen, there's several cities where you can build the community. And the last one, if you want to build your own prototypes, you can create it and upload it on labs. All these links, I've already sent it to Anders, so he'll be able to send it to you. And if there's anything else that you guys need from my side, I mean, yeah, feel free to reach out and I will be more than happy to help you out.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Okay, do we have time for a question or two? Do you do questions? No questions. All right.
Just in order to, yeah, I'm sorry to be strict on it. Obviously, it'd be great for you to reach out with additional questions, but in order to get out of here by 9, we're not taking any.
Cool. Yeah, but you can reach Rish if you have any questions. So that's easy enough. All right. Next up is Mark and Thomas from Anyway Wireless.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yep. Hello, folks. This was fun because I was born with electronics. That was how I started my career about 40 years ago. So I've been wiring a lot, and I've been programming assembler for JAS and Viggen aircraft, the Swedish Air Force aircraft. But nowadays we are working with Internet of Things. I've been involved in M2M for a long time, even before IoT was invented like that. Okay. So Mark here, who's the sales engineer in this company, he will talk about LoRa because we are quite deep involved in LoRa development at the moment. I'll just go shortly. This company, I've been working with M2M for about 10 years, but Anyway Wireless Communications was established 2011, and we have been designing and delivering about 6,000 terminals through these years. And our main project has been to connect all trams, buses, trains, and ferries in a company called Västtrafik, which is the second largest public transportation company in Sweden. So if you ever go to Gothenburg and go by public transportation, you will find probably that all connections are made from Anyway Wireless units. But the focus today is that we are going to see products more like a connected solution. So we are also launching an IoT platform within 2 weeks called Connect Anyway, which you all are invited to use, and also, as Mark will tell you later, about our LoRa development here in Stockholm. So we are putting a free LoRa gateway environment open to anyone in Stockholm. We opened this the 7th of July this summer, so it is already there. Okay.
Just a reminder on the time.
Yes.
Probably like halfway through, I would guess, if not more.
Yeah. How do I? Yeah. There you see the modem, the industrial modem that is sitting in every vehicle. All right. So here's Mark talking about LoRa.
Thank you, Thomas. So here you can see, just very quick, the LoRa network that we have initiated. So let me just go through the customer cases that we have. So we actually have a community association in a really small municipality in Stockholm, where the management, this association, want to control their operation within 15 housing cooperatives. So the goals is they would like to monitor and control fans, pumps, doors, and storage areas. And and our role will be to map out the needs, to design and take to find the right IoT equipment, and in the end to realize this in Connect Anyway, the platform. And what is the challenge with this project? Well, we have 24 pumps for sewers, 25 water meters in 15 housing cooperatives, 4 main water meters for the whole municipality, 3 fan rooms. Oh, sorry, Thomas.
This is Mac.
Oh,
This is Apple Mac.
okay.
I don't know anything
Let's
about
see.
that.
So, and then we have 9 main doors. So this is one of the projects that we're working with. So let's skip to another one very quick. We have another initiative that involves a leading energy utility company in Europe, where the purpose is that they would like to cut operation costs by related to the management of water, smart infrastructure, light, security, and buildings. And the goal is that in the end of 2017, they would like to more or less connect their whole operation locations in the whole country. And and the potential role for us will then be to help out in the rollout of networks and to understand the customer need in order to develop the right solutions. And the very last case involves, we've gotten in touch with a company that more or less provides smart farming solutions for farmers all over the world. And we have talked about them, and their portfolio consists of Wi-Fi enabled solutions. And we have pushed this and tried to more or less presented the lore idea for them and how they can extend the business cases even more, and explained how they can build an IoT platform on top of this through our platform. So if you have an idea, we may be able to realize this. If you come to us, we can have a check, have a look, and maybe together we can do something. Thank you. It was very quick.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up is Francesco.
How can you show the name slide from the preso key? Can you show the preso key just so his name is up there? There he is. Cool, please welcome Francesco.
Thanks.
Do you need a camera? Can I get a little camera, please?
No, it's okay. So, Noia Labs is a Swedish startup in fashion technology, wearable device, and Internet of Things. And my task in this company is study and test LoRa device, because we want to integrate LoRa technology in our product. So what I did was just after a couple of weeks that I started to work, I created the first LoRa network, maybe one of the first LoRa network in Stockholm. And we used LoRa cloud service, and this is the gateway. The gateway is a LoRa K8, and inside there is a BeagleBone green and a EMST EC88. Okay, is a LoRaWAN concentrator. And here we have the end node, and is an Arduino with a Hope RF M95. So after 1 month, we jumped and we used the Things network server, and how you can see from this screenshot, the end of August, we was the first one in Stockholm. And I started to do this test around our office in Södermalm. And after, in the same week maybe, I went in near Gamlestan, between Gamlestan and Slussen, and the gateway was in Naga, and we achieved this distance about 2 kilometers. And how you can see, the spread factor was 9, so was not the maximum. And this means that we can achieve measured distance. The gateway was inside, and when the gateway is inside, we have a big drop. So next step was, we did this. I went in Östermalm, and you can see the gateway was outside, was still in Naga at the 7th floor. And with a spread factor of 9, we achieved 3 kilometers. And so I went around Stockholm, and I did many of these tests. And what we learned is that we can cover Stockholm tomorrow. Right now we have 5 gateways. One is running in our office. And so what we are looking for is people that can help us to install these gateways in highest building in Stockholm, so we can cover it. And is running the Things network, so everybody can use this service. This is all.
All right, thanks so much. Okay, next up is Mio Bolic.
Thank you. So this will be a repeat of the previous talk because it's about LoRa Gateway. It's courtesy of Gregor, again as a hardware master. He's also my father-in-law, so I didn't have any choice there. So basically, I've been interested in LoRa for 1 year. The problem is that the gateways are quite expensive, and a couple of us have ordered the Kickstarter gateway, but we are still waiting. And I am an impatient guy, so I decided to let's build one. And I look it up on the internet and see there are a lot of how to do. I talked to Gregor, can't we do this? Yes, you buy the components, I will build it. And that's what we did. I know that you wrote the talk was how to build LoRa WAN gateway, but that's not really the most important thing. It's why. And for me, except for being impatient, it's also what TTN is. It's an open network that makes it easier for all the makers and innovators to actually make a product and service that works. Not only in Stockholm, but in Singapore and in Amsterdam and in Chicago. And that's something that if you have done this type of projects that are not just testing something and making a pilot, but actually making something that works and that can be spread, it's really, really interesting with the TTN network, the Things network. The other thing is that if you make something, you have a market potential that's much, much larger than Umeå or Gothenburg, which also have LoRa WAN networks. And Stockholm, you have the whole world. And it's not just the hardware, it's also the software. Because if you make a sensor, it doesn't make very much sense if it doesn't have some kind of service connected to it. And then you can use the same app, the same code, wherever you are. And that's something that's really, really important. Well, we'll be talking about the technical things about LoRa. So what we did was think, okay, what should we do? And we thought, well, test and show, that's nice, because then you show that it works and we can test out the TTN. But it's not only interesting to test. If you really want to have something that could be used by others, we have to build the TTN network in Stockholm. And that's what we are trying right now in this moment. So if there is anybody out there with a LoRa gateway, connect it to the TTN network, then we can start building something together. The gateway that we built, I put on the roof in the center of Stockholm, where I live, just behind Åhléns. So there is one gateway there, and I know there is one in Vasastan and in Södermalm, and it's a really easy way to get a good coverage. Then that's nice to have the network, but it's also important to involve others, like Stockholm Stad, and other stakeholders that actually promote this and help us to actually get those antennas high up, because that's needed. So what did we do? Well, we tested and showed, so we tried multi-channel LoRa sensors, because with the boat project it was single channel. And we tested the radio coverage, same experience. We tried out TTN in practice. Basically, TTN helps you with the hard stuff, getting the signal from the sensor to the backbone and getting it out so you can use it. Build a Stockholm TTN. Well, we need more nodes and more people involved. We need pilots and showcase. I'm just going to talk about 2 of them that we made. And we actually need to interest makers and innovators, because now there is actually a possibility to make something that other people can build upon. And the last step that we also have to do then is involve others and stakeholders. So I talked about Stockholm Stad. They have the connected garbage cans. LoRa is a super showcase for that. There is something called IoT Sweden that is a lot of Vinnova money out there that's up for grabs. And there are a lot of property owners like Vasakronan that actually owns the houses that we want to get our antennas up on. So we should involve them too. When it comes to details, what we did, we built the gateway, 300 euros. The sensors cost between 15 and 20 euros, depending on what we equip them with. If you want to build the gateway by yourself, here is the link. It's actually simple. Gregor told me it was the first time he built something and it worked from the first time. No tweaks. And last thing, coverage in the city, antennas placing is the most crucial thing to getting it up high. So I am living like 100 meters and looking at the Hötorgsskarpa every day. That's my dream. Just one last thing. This is the gateway. This is the sensor that we actually made for testing. It's also it's solar powered, so it measures the sun and temperature. So I used it to see, okay, how much sun do I have on my terrace really? And that's a nice way of just, getting to know that. Gregor, who's living in a large apartment complex, he actually put his LoRa sensor and connected to the heat water. And they had problem with the heat exchanger because they saw that there were constantly drops in temperature. And by using this LoRa sensor, they could see that there was a wall that was letting cold water into the warm heating system. And in that way, they solved the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mio. Let me see what's next. Åke is next from H&D Wireless.
Thank you. So I'm Åke Ehrenberg from H&D Wireless. I'm Vice President of R&D there. And I don't know if anyone of us, I know you have heard about us before, but I will do a quick presentation, not about the company, but how we evolved and how our products evolved. So we've been around since 2009. Got a lot of awards for Red Herring, and we was on the Ny Teknik 33 list, if you noticed that. And so we evolved from doing Wi-Fi modules to systems. So starting out, we are experts in doing hardware, for wireless. And we also have a very good software design team doing software for embedded, extremely small processors. So we started out doing these. It's not chips. There are actually several chips inside these small modules. And also doing the software, making it easy to use on small Atmel processors, on SD processors, whatever processors you like. And also making modules with screens and with antennas, which are required to do them FCC approved. And if they're FCC approved, you can use them, and you still have to do EMC testing, but don't have to do any filing with FCC. And all of this is Wi-Fi, and just one point to make when everyone talk about low power, I think still Wi-Fi is the lowest power per bit. So you need to think what you want to send and what you want to receive also when you choose your wireless technology. And so we were aiming at everything that wasn't cell phones or PCs, that was the region for the Wi-Fi. So in home equipment, security, digital multimedia, smart home appliances, and also enterprises. And we've been doing very well. We have sold up to 1 million of these modules up to date, so it's doing fine. And this was Gartner's hype cycle for emerging technologies from 2014. And you can see Internet of Things at the peak there. It's where you have the inflated expectations of Internet of Things. And so we were right, doing the things that we're doing. But what we were doing was that, okay, you can connect our modules. We also did some reference design for temperature sensors, and also a power metering plug that you can put in that tells you what power you're using in an outlet, and you can turn it off and on. And of course, it's IP based, since it's Wi-Fi, so you can connect it easily. But then customers started saying, oh, I don't have a display on my thing. I don't know how to connect to Wi-Fi. Well, how do I connect to Wi-Fi and make it easy for the customers? So we had to do something. So what we came up with was a communication protocol that was secure, and it's patented now. And that you could set up very easily with an app, because the smartphone was coming about, and you can connect it to your network. And you can also do something with your apps. Then you say, okay, what am I going to do now? I'm connected. Yeah, you can control it with an app. Oh, nice. So we have been doing helping out companies like LG for their air conditioners with their apps and so on. And then they say, well, what if a customer leaves home? What are we going to do? They cannot be on the network anymore with the smartphone. So next step was to make a cloud server and have an interface to that one too. So now this is the basis for our company, I would say. We do the modules, and we have a cloud service, and we have the smartphone apps that you connect. So then you have the basis, and you can build anything IoT that you like. So going from just delivering hardware, we're helping customers from being a company that sells a refrigerator to selling a service to the customer, which is a big change for a lot of companies, I can say. And a lot of this is because there are a lot of things. There are the Google, iHome, and so on, they're coming, but there's no real standard for how to do this. If you're a small manufacturer of a home appliance, you have nowhere to go. You have to invent your own system, or use a company like us to have the cloud connection and so on. So our offer today is that we do the modules, and they are on STHLMHW. We do turnkey products. We help our customer to use our modules in their products and develop them from idea to a box, including smartphone apps and so on. And we also do now a whole system for enterprises, business. The latest we do is that we do positioning for tracking assets or tracking people in a mall or whatever it may be. And the interesting thing is to look at the Gartner chart for 2016. And you can look, there are no more IoT on there. The thing that is coming on rising is IoT platforms. So they've noticed that this is a new thing coming. So thank you. And I'm 8 seconds left, so it's your last slide. So
Thank you so much. Okay, we are down to our last speaker, Björn. Great. Don't have a slide for you there, but fine.
Fantastic to get the last
Big interest walking all the way up.
So I won't ask how many is sleeping, how many are awake? Yeah, great, thank you. Good to be here. Magnus told me when things started, never go to things without bringing something, a hardware. My name is Bjorn. I come from Cyan Canode. Really interesting to hear about all the talks today here. I will tell you a bit more about what we do and advocate a bit about 6LoWPAN. So before today, how many have heard about 6LoWPAN? Okay, quite many. How many have used 6LoWPAN in projects or whatever? That's not too many, sort of a handful. How many have used LoRa or heard about LoRa? I guess it's the whole bunch. That I would say that's the main difference between LoRa and 6LoWPAN. It's the marketing and the packaging. And we actually work really hard with our partners to change that going forward. Could you take the mic a little closer? Yeah, I will. So I'll flip by, you flip. Oh, thank you. So I'll tell you a bit more about our biggest project that is rolling out right now. Maybe you heard of it. It's the SMIP project in UK. It's 30 million homes that will connect 55 million electricity and gas meters over the single one same networks. It was launched last week, 8th of November, so it's up and running. They have 1,000 servers running all over UK, connecting all different meters of the future. And what we have done an infill solution for the cellular network. So everywhere there's a not spot or a sort of where you can't reach with the cellular network, we provide connectivity by 6LoWPAN. The good thing is that it's needed to prove in scale. This will roll out with about 50,000 units a day. We're proven our solutions for a number of million units over the same sort of network. So it's not a technology issue anymore. You have the security, you have the scalability, you have everything you need to build a scalable network. But just as when internet started, who marketed internet from the beginning? Anyone has a clue? It marketed itself by users wanted to get online. We don't have that with 6LoWPAN today, unfortunately. But we will work and ensure that there is a sort of stronger drive for interoperability and providing sensors onto the network. So, if I can get the next slide some way. Oh, sorry. I don't see it here. That's why. One of the biggest challenges when building smart grid or smart city networks today is that most are built by building stovepipes. So you don't have any communication between sensors or between different parts in the network. Norra was mentioned as one good example of a network in Stockholm. It's built that way. You can't communicate between a HVAC system and some other kind of sensors in network. Impossible. So if you want to scale something, you need to build interoperability and be able to share the communication infrastructure. And that's where the interoperability of 6LoWPAN becomes really interesting going forward. I haven't heard of any other narrowband technology that exists today, which is based on full IP addressing and full security solutions, and which is scalable, which is sort of a narrowband IoT solution. We have LoRa, we have Sigfox. None of them have IP addressing. There are excellent networks, but we don't think that will be the scaling solution of the future, and we hear more and more voices talking in the same direction. I don't talk against LoRa, but if you look at the Ericsson Mobility Report, you see that definitely the growth will be in narrowband solutions and non-cellular objects, and I think that everyone should start looking into IP-based communication solutions as well as one of the possible solutions for the future. What we do together with Intel, Ericsson, and a number of others in Kista is that we have started Urban ICT Arena, which is like a test bed where we will test and prove interoperability on an open network. So if you want to join in or look more into this, contact Petra or contact me, and I sort of introduce you and see what we can do together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Björn. We have that was it for the speakers for tonight, but we have still one announcement. Is that right?
Yeah, like a community announcement, 60 seconds, and then I'm just going to say something to wrap up. Okay. Right? That was me. That was you. That was you. Okay, that was me. Or that was you.
Hi. Could I get what's on that?
Sorry?
Yeah, just a web page what's. So I'm Joachim Lindborg. I've been around these areas for a while, doing XMPP, for those who knows that, for IoT. Few, that's another protocol to get everything interoperable. And I'm also doing a startup. I'm on upstart.com this Saturday at the Castle of Uppsala. And how many of you think about the energy that you need to all your devices? And where does it come from? Carbon, solar panels. The boat thing will be on solar panels soon. Watts.com creates solar energy cut down to every user and every person. So you can take solar energy and compensate the things you use the energy for. You could bundle it. My son is selling cups with solar panel energy included. So you get solar energy for your phone and a cup at the same time. You can have your gateway covered by solar energy, produced either locally or in the world. We're saving the planet. So don't care really where we start to do the energy, as soon as you do more renewable energy. So how many likes solar panels? How many would like them on their own roofs? Somewhat. Well, I put them on other roofs for you. So buy 3 watts, that creates 3 kilowatt hours, which covers your phone for 15 years for 60 crowns.
Okay, thank you so much, Joachim.
Do we have more things on the agenda, Anders? Okay. Cool. So thanks a lot for today. When we started, one of the slides was a picture of a person named Guy. He's the volunteer from Things. And he asked me to pretty please ask you to take your bottles with you from up here to downstairs to the kitchen area. Whatever you don't clean up, the volunteers that remains will clean up. So that's us. So if you could help out a little bit by taking some stuff with you, that'd be great. Apart from that, please do join us in December for some combination of gløgg and julehygge. And are we gonna? We'll see. We'll come up with some ideas for what to do. I think we're gonna try to just make sure that we get to meet each other and have kind of a relaxed December event. And anything else, Anders?
No, if I may just wrap up by saying thank you all for coming, and it turned out to be an interesting event with a lot of advertisement for the Things Network. So I hope you liked that and you found that interesting, but also a good survey of the different companies and startups within the wireless field around here, basically. So I quite enjoyed it.